What is the fastest and easiest way to get your commercial driver's license or CDL? The following is my story in my own words. Well, I can tell you what was the fastest and easiest way for me that I used to obtain my Class B CDL or commercial driver's license. Luckily for me, a friend of mine had applied and landed a job with a transportation company that operated school buses for the district, and I was able to obtain a reference from him to help me get the job. So I applied with the same company and used my friend as a reference. Happily for me, I was hired after the interview. Having my friend's reference really helped. So after I was hired, my boss told me that I needed to obtain a MEC, or MEC, which stands for Medical Examiner Certificate. Essentially, that is medical proof that shows the state that you are fit to drive a commercial vehicle. So I did some searching and found a physician who was qualified to essentially perform a DOT physical on me. The physician gave me a physical exam and I passed it. Then the physician gave me a MEC card that I signed, and which I am required to carry in my wallet on my person, essentially if I'm driving a commercial vehicle. The physician also faxed a MEC form to the state, and I was good to go. Prior to obtaining my MEC, my boss also gave me a CDL manual and told me to study it, and once I had studied it, to then go to the DMV and take the written general knowledge exam, also the passenger endorsement exam, and the school bus endorsement exam. Once I had taken and passed the 3 exams that I had just mentioned, I believe that the DMV gave me an eye exam, and I passed. A little while later, the DMV official printed up a commercial learner's permit, and it would be about 14 days from then that I would be allowed to take the driving test, which consisted of 3 different types of tests. And that would be a pre-trip inspection, backing up maneuver, which also included, I think, another type of maneuver is picking up a student or something like that, and then a road test. So once I had my MEC and my commercial learner's permit in hand, I went back to the transportation company and had a job that I had a job with, and they made copies of those documents. And then I started on the training program with one of their buses and one of their company trainers. The company trainer's job is to train you how to properly drive their commercial vehicle. Luckily for me, several years ago, back before there was such a thing as a CDL, I had what was called a chauffeur's license, which allowed me to drive a large beer truck. By the way, it had air brakes for the parking brakes. So luckily, I was accustomed to backing up large trucks. So I quickly did the training and passed the company's backing up tests, which apparently some people have problems with backing up large vehicles if they have no prior experience doing so. So essentially, most of my training at the company was centered on performing the pre-trip inspection flawlessly and performing the road test, also with the backing up, but mostly learning about the proper way for school buses to stop at railroad crossings and how to pick up students and drop them off both at the school and at their assigned bus stops. So I scheduled the second part of my DMV exam, which is, the 3 tests that I mentioned, which was held at a different location from where the DMV office is located. I believe it was at their commercial division. The second part of the DMV exam was made up of 3 subtests, which I mentioned earlier. The first was the pre-trip inspection, which I had to pass before going on to the next test, which was the backing up maneuver, basically 3 backing up maneuvers, and I think there was 1 non-backing up maneuver, which essentially would be picking up a student or something to that effect. And then, and I did successfully pass those, which let me go on to the next test and the final test, which was the road test, which the official had me drive a predetermined route, and the official had me get, while I was driving, the official had me basically go to the interstate freeway, and then had me pull off to the side of the on-ramp, and then he asked me where I would put my 3 triangles. Then I got back onto the on-ramp after I successfully answered that question and merged into traffic on the freeway. I performed some driving, and then he had me drive back to the location where I met him to take the test. He signed a little piece of paper which had a form printed on it, and then he handed it to me and told me to take it to the DMV office and give it to the officials there. A person at the company drove the a person with the company that I was just recently hired with drove the school bus to the DMV office where I would get my license, and I drove her vehicle also there. And the reason for that is until you have the commercial driver's license, you're not allowed to drive a commercial vehicle unless you have somebody with you who already has a commercial driver's license. So anyhow, then she drove her vehicle back to the company and left the school bus at the DMV office. I went to the DMV office and showed them the piece of paper that was signed by the official who gave me the road test. They took the piece of paper and asked me to take another eye exam, which I did and passed. Then they had me pay them about $50, which was for the price for the interstate license. Then they took my picture and printed out a temporary paper commercial driver's license. That's a temporary paper commercial driver's license. Yeah, that's okay. And gave it to me. They said they would mail me the plastic CDL to my home mailing address, which they did. And back at the company, they made copies of my temporary paper CDL, and they asked when I received my official or my plastic CDL to let them make a copy of it. So, and that I did also. Later. A few days later, I was running a route and earning a wage. My total out-of-pocket expense for the MEC and CDL was about $125. And the way that breaks down is $75 for the MEC and about $50 for the interstate CDL. So here I am telling you about it a year later. That's how you can get your CDL. Get a job driving a school bus. Then study for your other endorsement tests. For example, air brakes, and take the tests, etc. You get the picture. Well, that's about all I have to say on the subject for now. Thanks for listening, and congratulations on your decision to obtain your CDL. I know that you've made the right decision. Again, thanks for watching this video. If you've liked the video, please comment, like, subscribe, and enable notifications so you can receive word of future videos I upload to this channel. Well, that's about it. Happy trails to you. This is Barry Branton signing off for now.